Hey guys, Scott and Nate from PlayYourCourt.com, and today we're going to show you how to hit a beginner serve. So today we're talking about serves, and to be clear, this video is for beginners. If you're in the PlayYourCourt rating system, this is for players with a PlayYourCourt rating of 49 and below, or a USTA 2.5 or below. This video is for beginners, and since Nate's serve most closely resembles a beginner, we're going to let him do the coaching today. So Nate, go ahead and take it from here.
Cuts like a knife, Scott. All right, so let's be clear. This is a beginner serve, and learning the beginner serve can be a pretty scary thing. It's one of the most difficult things we're going to do when we're first learning the game. And so we're going to keep this very, very basic. We're not going to jump into talking about pronation and everything else.
Yeah, for you internet trolls out there, take it easy. We're not going over the Roger Federer serve today.
Right.
This is for the beginner. If you're just getting out there and you're trying to be proficient with the serve, that's what Nate's doing for us today.
Yeah, this is, you know, you've been out there and you've been hitting some balls off the ground strokes, and now it's time to get into match play, and we got to introduce the serve. So the first thing we're going to do with the serve is we're going to introduce the Continental Grip. And there's a lot of different thoughts out there that there's easier ways to first learn the serve, but honestly, the Continental, we want to get this as soon as possible, because if we start with another grip, it ends up being really difficult to change at a later time. All right. So the Continental Grip is often referred to as the shake hands grip. So what Scott's going to do here is he's going to put the racket on an edge, and if you're not sure what the edge is, that means like you should be able to read who manufactures the racket. So here it's a Pro Staff. So now Scott is going to shake hands with the grip, and what we'll see here is if you look, he's on bevel 2. So what that means is bevel 1 is this first bevel, and his index knuckle is on bevel 2. All right, and this should feel pretty comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable in your hand, you probably have the wrong grip here. All right, so now that we've got the Continental Grip, we're going to start talking about what it means to toss the ball correctly, because you can actually have a really good serve even at a 5-0 and above and have a horrendous toss and just be plagued with double faults. So in the beginning phase of learning the serve, the most important aspect is really getting this toss consistent so your racket has a chance for proper contact. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to get Scott to demo a little practice here of what the toss should be. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have Scott at the baseline, and as a righty, his feet are facing to his right. All right, so his shoulders and his hips are stacked. All right, and his racket is on the side of his body, with his tossing hand being his left hand out in front with the racket. All right, and so this is the most important thing with the toss. What Scott needs to do here is focus on tossing with his shoulder. Oftentimes what will happen, beginners get out and they keep a joint, they put a hinge in their elbow and their wrist, tossing with too much of a joint, too many joints, and therefore creating erratic tosses. So what Scott's going to do to ensure that this is correct, he's going to toss with his shoulder, keeping his arm straight, and he's going to catch the ball at the very, very top. All right, and as you can see, the ball came back to his hand, so it tells you it's in a straight line and it's going to be a pretty good toss leading to a successful serve.
To add on to this, guys, too, especially if you're a beginner when you're just getting started here, think about starting your arm in a straight line from underneath where you're going to release. So for me, I'm going to release here at 1 o'clock, and by 1 o'clock we mean, you know, this is the clock, noon is directly in front of us, 12 noon is directly in front of us, 1 is right here. So I'm going to actually start my racket directly underneath where I want my arm to push straight up, so I'm not creating any sort of windmill motion. I'm just moving in a linear line directly up.
Yeah, and if Scott can't essentially bounce his hand holding the ball off his thigh, off his left thigh, then he's not in the correct alignment, right? Obviously, if you're somewhere else, that you're lined up incorrectly. All right, so Scott's just going to run through a couple of these exercises, tossing and catching with his left hand, and he's just going to practice to see what this toss feels like. This seems like it's going to be really easy. I promise you, this is one of the hardest things with the serve at all levels. All right, now what you'll see is if Scott lets go a little bit too early here, the ball is going to go into the court. And there's no way that we're going to get through the ball. We're going to chase it. We're going to hit it in the net. And this next serve, Scott's going to toss a little bit late, and you can see it's gone behind his head. We want to avoid that in the beginning phases as we're learning to hit this serve. All right, so with a little bit of practice doing this, I think we're going to be ready to get out there and practice hitting the serve into the court.
Hold up, Nate. that's not everything they need to know as a beginner. We're not ready to jump out there and hit serves quite yet. What if I can't get this? What if I'm trying this and my toss is all over the place? What do I do now?
Well, no, we're not. We did say this is the hardest thing that you're gonna learn in tennis. You are not ready yet, all right? So we're gonna show you an exercise that you can start practicing to get you ready. We're gonna show that to you right now.
Yeah, give me a drill, gosh.
All right, guys, as you can see, we've got Scott up against the curtain here in an indoor facility. If you're not indoors and you're outdoors, you can use the fence. Doesn't really matter what you're on, as long as there's
wall
some
in your
give.
house even, right? If you want to practice it at home.
Yeah, there might be some rebound of the ball off a solid surface, so you want it to be kind of soft, right? But so let's just start with like what we're going to do here. One of the most important things is there's really no result. There's not a ball going in or a ball going out. We're not looking for success, we're looking for failure. This is the beginning stages. And a lot of times when we're serving for success, did the ball go in? A lot of times the mechanics are sometimes off, and the ball goes out, and they're actually closer to being correct than when the ball actually went in. So what we're gonna do here is Scott's gonna make sure he has his Continental grip. So again, he's shaking hands with the tennis racket, all right? And so Scott's not really sure how this racket's gonna move. It's his first time swinging the racket. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the racket back behind his head, okay? And what this should feel like is like you're throwing a ball. Now here is the key. You're not throwing the ball linear, not throwing the ball straight ahead. Scott's actually gonna be in this motion as if he's throwing, but he's throwing very high, right? Like he's throwing, if it was a football, he's throwing the bomb. All right, baseball, he's throwing from the outfield all the way in. This thing needs to go up.
And to clarify, guys, there's two throwing arms here, right? The left arm is going to throw the toss. The arm Nate's talking about right now is my racket arm.
His hitting arm.
The path of my racket is what we're addressing right now, and I'm going to swing up, not out.
All right, and so here what we're going to do is Scott's going to track the ball up the curtain, all right, but he's tossing with his shoulder. Remember, you're tossing with your shoulder, and he's going to trap the ball at the height of the toss and trap it against the curtain for solid contact. Yeah, it's average.
That was above average. Come on.
All right, let's see that one more time. Really thought you might miss that if I made you do it another time. All right, so guys, a little tip here though. If you're tossing too far away from the curtain, you're never going to be able to trap this ball. The ball went over the curtain. That's all the time. Yeah, guys, I told you, it's going to be impossible if you throw the ball that far away. All right. Yeah, come back. He's horribly ashamed. All right, so this time he's going to toss the ball closer to the curtain and finding that success. There we go. All right, so we want to get out there and we want to do this over and over and over again until we feel completely comfortable. And I know some of you coaches out there going, well, wait a second, you didn't talk about the racket drop, you didn't talk about pronation.
Take it easy, internet trolls.
Yeah, just slow down. This is a beginner serve. And what we often find is if you give somebody the correct tools with the Continental grip, tossing with the shoulder, and we get this racket back behind the head, all right, so that it's a throwing position, oftentimes the mechanics start leaning to themselves. We'll get into pronation, all that stuff another time. That's not this video. All right, guys, as you can see, we're back on the baseline. Scott's been working hard. He's been practicing that toss. He's been working on trapping the ball on the curtain, working through the mechanics of the serve. And so now we're ready to actually start hitting the serve and focusing on getting the ball into the box. As you can see, he's on the ad court here. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna make sure that our feet are lined up, all right? One of the best ways we can do this is if you can draw a line from your toes to the post, all right, the far right post, you're lined up, and that's gonna work on either side, all right? And so now that we have them in the right position, we're gonna get the racket, we're gonna go all the way to the racket drop. So what Scott's gonna do is take the racket and he's gonna make sure he can pat the back of his head. All right, and from this position, he's in the loaded position where he's going to be able to serve. What we want to avoid here, though, is to make sure this arm doesn't creep this way. All right, we want to make sure that it's back as if you were throwing a ball.
Like you're flexing.
Like you're flexing, yeah. The gun show. All right, moving on. So from here, all right, we're going to focus on tossing with the shoulder. All right, and at the top of the toss, right before gravity grabs it, and it's starting to come down. Scott's gonna reach up for contact, and we're not worried about power here. He's gonna let it come through fluidly and make contact at the top for an up and out swing. All right, so good net clearance, nice and safe, and that's really what we want in the beginning. We want the ability to be consistent with these serves and get the ball into play. All right, so we're gonna take it a step farther now. If you're starting to feel comfortable, we're gonna take a progression to where we put you into something we call the bow and arrow. All right, we hear this as trophy position. I like to tweak this a little bit, and what we're gonna do here is simply, Scott, show me your best green arrow impersonation.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right, so we have the bow and arrow position, right? So he's almost there. We're gonna fix it just a little bit, and we're gonna loosen up his hand, and we're gonna get the palm down just a little bit, all right? And what this is gonna enable him to do is that when he goes with the toss, organically, if the hand is loose, it's gonna fall behind his head, all right? If you're holding it and you're here, we're gonna get a different result. So we want it kind of loose, and when he goes through that toss, the racket will fall into the racket drop, and then we're gonna swing up to the ball for solid contact. Solid as a rock, all right? So guys, if you work through these 3 progressions, all right, we work on the toss, with tossing with the shoulder, all right, and make sure that you're catching this ball with your arm extended. If you're letting the ball fall and you're catching it down here, you're not gonna have the parameters to know whether it's a good toss or not. And then using the curtain trick, right, where I'm tossing to the curtain and trapping the ball all the way at the top, all right, that's gonna help us with the contact. And then it's showtime. It's ready to get on the baseline, and we can run through these too, right? We can go through the pat the head position, and then we're gonna go into the bow and arrow position, all right? And I think if you work through these progressions, you're gonna find that beginner serve is a pretty solid serve in no time.
Yeah, guys, these 3 steps, I know there's a ton more that we could add, and trust me, we will. But if you want to get out there and have a proficient serve and build that amazing foundation, this is where you start. And guys, to be clear, Nate and I just want to see you guys improve your tennis game, but we don't know a ton about you. So do us a favor, click the button below, answer a couple questions for us about your game, and we'll then send some custom coaching for you based on your skill level. Just click the button below and we'll do the rest.